The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hey, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Pleased to be joined now by the Meadville Lady Eagles and head coach Steve Carvajal, 31-0, and your Class 1 state champions. How does that sound, Coach Carvajal?
It's got a fantastic ring to it. It's been quite a ride.
It has. We visited just a few short days ago coming into the Final Four, and let's take us through that. You get Leeton in that semifinal round. It's a 5-point game, a very good Leeton team. Tell us about that contest.
Yeah, and something else leading into that is we were really banged up and were unable to practice basically for the last 2.5 weeks of the season. We didn't practice before the sectional or the quarterfinal games. We had some walkthroughs and some film work, so we were kind of hobbled going into that. The Leeton team was, I thought, coached very well. They were in the right spot many times throughout the game. Very good defensive team, and they were missing, their leading scorer, I believe her name's Crooks, which was obviously an advantage for us. But I thought defensively we played pretty solid for the most part, as did they. We had a nice run early. Paige went down with an ankle injury about 2 minutes into the game, which really was an issue for us because it changed our press. She was able to come back at the end of the first quarter, start of the second quarter, which made a difference. But we struggled shooting. We were 2 for 17 that game, which is unusual for us. So we had to change some things we did. We got down 4 points late, which is unusual territory for us. But we had called the timeout and talked about what we had to do. And as all those deals that worked out perfectly, we hit a big three, and then we were able to kind of pull the ball out. And they fouled, and we won the game on the free throw line. But that was a big win.
As you look at this, 51-46 was the final score there. Then you've got a very good Chadwick team. And, speaking to coaches here in the South region, so to speak, where I am, whoever came out of here was going to be battle-tested with the likes of Walnut Grove, who got kind of banged up, lost 4 starters. You've got the Chadwicks, the South Iron, the Deltas all coming out of here. So, Chadwick had been battle-tested. Tell us about your thoughts going into that game.
Well, and the girls will tell you to a T, they looked outstanding in the semifinal game. They beat a good Jefferson and handled them. They came out and hit shots early. Their defense was scrappy. And Jefferson, to me, was probably, out of the Final Four, I thought was the favorite just because of the size of their team. We thought we could do some things against them, but the one good thing for us is that we matched up better with Chadwick, even though they were still taller than us each position, but the way they played was going to be good for us. And I thought if we could hold them in check, we knew it wasn't going to be a running game like we both like to do. And I think their coach will tell you that as well. But they got us down early because we struggled again shooting. And we went in at halftime. Corey hit a couple threes and Paige had hit one to end the half. And we were down a point. And we talked at halftime. It was something we were going to have to do with the way they were playing us, that we were just going to shoot threes basically the second half or fast break layups. And we were very patient with the ball. And I want to say we were 7 for 11 or 7 for 12 the second half in the 3-point line. And then once again, we gradually pulled ahead and we were able to work the clock and win on the free throw line. But it was a good matchup. Our defense, I thought, was almost perfect, which is hard to say that. But the last quarter, we've gone back and watched the film. We held them actually 11 possessions in a row without scoring a basket. And that was critical.
Hey, Coach, I know, a lot of times you watch a team play throughout the year, and they may average 70 points a game, and then they come into the postseason, and it's very similar to you. You guys put up, I think 58 was the most points that you scored, and that was against North Shelby. Mm-hmm. Championship game, you put up 39. The possessions become so much more valuable.
Absolutely.
At that time, and you really kind of run the clock and work the clock and try and get the best shot. What is that like for the young ladies? And I'll visit with them as well. To kind of go through that when they're used to playing a certain way all year.
Well, and I don't want to say tease them. I always tell them that they're going to be, I say well coached, but they're going to know these things. And we have talked throughout the year. I explained to them that during the year we might score a ton of points, but as you get into the playoffs, And just like in the NCAA tournament, possessions they're very valuable. And the one thing we do well is we handle the basketball for the most part. And we do shoot the ball well. We'll still run up and down the floor, but when it comes to the half-court game, we're going to run things as best as we can to get that good look. And they have heard that, and they knew that. So it wasn't anything, I want to say, out of the ordinary, even though people are used to seeing us score 70, 80, 90 points. But, the St. Elizabeth coach said it best. He gave us a great compliment going in there because we were very mismatched size-wise against St. Elizabeth. They're an impressive team. And he made the comment about how we were coached and how the girls played. He said they could care less if they won 30-20 or 80-70. And we read that, and they all smiled. And they're like, bottom line, we just want to win. And there were a number of times throughout the year, and especially in the playoffs, I was like, are you ready to pull it out? And very rarely did they say no. They're like, whatever you think. And then we'd pull it out and run the clock and hopefully make free throws.
Very good. Coach, we've got several young ladies there behind you. You can start where you'd like. And what I'll do this time is whoever you introduce, I'll visit with, and I will allow them to introduce whoever's next.
Okay.
So you might want to start. Who's going to go first?
Paige does not want to go first, so we will start with Mallory again because she's a pretty good speaker. Mallory had 9 rebounds in the championship game, which was huge. And obviously, at her 5'1" stature, we expect 9 rebounds out of her every game.
Mallory, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell us just from your standpoint about the weekend and what it meant to you, and what are some things you're not going to forget?
I still don't really believe it because it's really hard to believe just because it's a lot to take in. But it was amazing. I mean, it was nothing I've ever experienced, obviously. And beating North Shelby was probably one of the biggest wins for me just because, they beat us by 40 in sectionals my sophomore year. So getting to state and everything like that, I don't know. It was just the environment. You can't match it. Like, there's nothing that matches that feeling. And you never really realize that till you're on the floor and you're playing and everyone's looking at you. So it's just, I don't know. It's definitely something I will never forget. It's a surreal moment.
What was the venue like when you walk into a building that seats 12,000 people?
I mean, you instantly get adrenaline. You're like, holy crap, like, they're all going to be looking at me. And then you're like, what if I mess up? Like, they're all going to see it. 12,000 people are going to think I'm bad because I messed up one time. Like, you definitely get adrenaline. It's crazy.
Take us through the championship game. You get the win over Leeton, a 5-point victory there. What was it like that night, trying to get some sleep? And then what was the next morning like?
I'm pretty sure I prayed like 5 or 6 times just because I was so scared. I don't know, like, going through the championship game with all the adrenaline, I don't overthink a lot, but we start missing shots and then I'm like, oh my gosh, we need that shot, because just like you said, the possessions mean everything. And you're like, they just scored, but we didn't score. So you start comparing in your head and you start freaking out. So I don't know. It was stressful, but it was a lot of fun.
Where were you when the buzzer went off when you realized that you were going to get the number 1 trophy?
I was standing at half court with Corey, and she said there's 7 seconds left. And I didn't realize that. And I looked at the clock, and there were 7 seconds left. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's really us.
And I left one key thing out too, Guy. In that first half against Chadwick, we got down 18-8. They had made, I believe, Mallory told me, or somebody said they made 6 of their first 8 shots. And I didn't realize that. So we held them to 10 points for the last, I think it was 26 minutes, which is pretty incredible. And there's some things I want to throw in here too. Corey and Paige both hit 4 3-pointers in that game. And Paige ended up with 106 on the year, and Corey ended up with 105, which are both going to rank way up there. But we needed every one of those that game. But it was pretty special too.
So Mallory, who was the first person you heard from who was the first text you received? Who got to you first? Grandma, grandpa?
Well, all my family was there, so I talked to them. But I had a lot of texts from like our past coach before Carvajal. That was the first text that I received. And I don't know, it's really cool to see that he's still watching us, still supporting us through everything. And I mean, he was there when we played at our sectional game. He was there for mostly all of it. So I think that's really cool.
Very good. Well, Mallory, congratulations being part of the Country Financial Team of the Week, undefeated state champions.
Thank you.
Now you have to introduce whoever's next.
This is Corey Holzer.
Corey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So you guys are standing at midcourt with 7 seconds left,
We were.
and she really didn't know there were 7 seconds left.
I guess not. Yeah.
Tell us about your experience over the weekend with the Leeton game and the state championship game.
Like Mallory said, it's definitely surreal. Like, I still can't believe it. It was just in that moment, I don't know, just playing with Kendra and Mallory for so long, like, we never thought this would ever happen. Last year, definitely. It was just really nice to win with them because we never thought we would. Playing with Paige and Maddie, it was the best year I've ever had at basketball. It was just so fun. The environment, our student section, like the fans were just so crazy. Every time we made a shot, they were up, they were clapping. It was just, I don't know, it was crazy.
Who's the first person you heard from that wasn't at the game?
Gosh, I had a lot of texts. I don't know, probably the coach.
What was it like when you got back into town?
They all congratulated, like in the game, all of our family, we walk up the stairs at Missouri State and our family is just there. Every single person that walked up, they clapped for us. They were cheering like right when the game ended. It was just crazy. Going back into town, our fans were there. They were clapping. They cheered us on. We had a reception Sunday, and it was crazy. They were all there for us and supporting us still.
Is there one or two things that you're never going to forget from the weekend?
Probably the hug after the game. Paige, Maddie, and I hugged Coach. It was just, I don't know. He's been there for us the whole year, and he's been a great coach.
I cried.
I cried as well.
I was crying.
And just receiving that first place plaque was unreal.
Now, Corey, what grade are you?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior, so you get to do it all over again.
Yep.
Corey is a number. We're picking up all sorts of honors, but Corey is probably, Madison actually finished third in history for steals at 249 steals. And had she not missed a couple games, she would have set the record. She finished 9 short, so she averaged 8.7. Corey's actually going to be in the top 20 as well, as is Mallory. They both finished with 150 in pace, and it was just a fantastic year. But she was kind of our defensive specialist. The last 6 games, she held the leading scorer for all 6 different teams under 4 points. And that's pretty mind-boggling. I think in the championship game, we held her to 2 to 4 each game. And, of course, we have a lot of help side defense. But that's pretty nice as a coach when you can pencil in, okay, we can take out the leading scorer right here. And she had a fantastic Final Four.
Well, Corey, on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations on being Country Financial Team of the Week, undefeated state champions.
Thank you.
And you get to introduce who's next.
Sure. This is Paige Carnival.
Paige, you didn't want to go first, but three's okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Tell us a little bit about your experience over the weekend.
I mean, like they said, it was just unreal. It was so amazing to be able to experience that. That's like a dream come true, I feel like, for every athlete, and especially getting to experience that with like your little sister and your dad. That's also like amazing. And like, I have the best teammates. So we had so much fun there.
Where were you when the final buzzer went off?
I think I was at the free throw line, and the first thing I did was me and Corey went crazy. We jumped and hugged, and then I ran over to meet my dad, Corey, and Maddie.
Very good. Very good. So what's something that stands out, maybe getting to this point? Did you think, was there ever an opportunity where you felt like, hey, we might not get this game? Maybe it's that Leeton game.
Probably, yeah, it might have been both. Like the Leeton game, when I went out, I was pretty nervous because, like that's a really big game, and like our 6 man's having to come in, and that's probably really nerve-wracking for her. But I was pretty nervous for that. But then when we played Chadwick, when we were down like 18-10, whatever, or 18-8, that was scary. Like I had a little down. I was like, okay, we need to start making shots and stuff, because I think everyone on the floor was pretty worried at that moment.
And who was the first person you heard from that was not at the game?
Probably an old travel ball coach I had. She congratulated me, which that meant a lot.
What was it like coming back into town?
It was pretty nice. You know, everyone was just so supportive. And then the day after we had that ceremony, so many people came out, and it was awesome.
You guys have built up some equity now. You can get out of class when you want. You can eat when you want.
I'm glad you brought that up because I tried to explain to him, Guy, all the perks that come with the Final Four. And I said, if you happen to win this thing, I said, you are really going to, and they had no idea. And just in the last few days, my phone's blowing up with, all sorts of calls and interviews. And we got invited to basically a 5-star restaurant last night, and the guy fed us, and it was spectacular, to reward him. And we keep joking about we're going to the White House Tuesday. We're going to the Capitol Tuesday to get introduced. And of course they get out of school for that. So that kind of makes me a rock star since we can get them out of school a little bit.
You bet. There's a lot of equity built up there. That's going to last a long time. But Paige, again, congratulations on being part of the Country Financial Team of the Week, undefeated state champions.
Thank you.
And Paige, who are we going to talk to next?
Introduce Maddie and then give Kendra a chance.
Maddie Carvajal.
Maddie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell us a little bit about your experience over the weekend and some things you're not going to forget.
I mean, I thought it was crazy. Just the bus ride up there, we all had so much fun, and we were so excited. We imagined, like, we thought of getting there, but I never actually thought we would. I thought it was just something that we talked about, but just knowing that we're going to the Final Four, like, it probably should have made me more nervous, but I was like, oh, we're already here, so whatever happens, happens. But once we beat Leiden, I was like, we really have a chance. And it was just crazy, the atmosphere and the fans, and just so many people were there. It was awesome. It was a crazy experience.
And Maddie, where were you on the floor when the buzzer went off?
I was at the 3-point line. Me and Corey had just switched off, and the girl shot the last shot. And then I ran and hugged Corey, Paige, and my dad.
Corey's in the right place all the time.
That's what I just said.
Positions herself well.
I was everywhere.
She's telling how many seconds are left on the clock, and she's hugging Mallory, she's hugging Maddie, she's hugging Paige.
It's a little different because to get the score, there's no scoreboards around on this court. You have to actually look up, and I don't think they realized that they could check above each basket too for the time. But anyhow.
Yes, indeed. Well, hey, Maddie, congratulations. And who are we going to talk to next?
Thank you. Here's Kendra Myers.
Did you say Kendra?
Yes.
Kendra, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
It was definitely crazy. Never would have thought my senior year ending in a perfect season and winning state. I would have never thought of it happening. It was crazy, and I'm so glad and thankful we got to experience it.
Who was the first person you heard from that was not at the game?
Probably our past coach.
And where were you when the buzzer went off? You were standing next to Corey.
Not with me.
Yeah, no. I was guarding the post girl towards the end, actually boxing her out after they took the last shot. And when I saw the clock went out, I ran to the bench for our other teammates, and never would have thought we would have won. It was crazy.
We were like,
What is going through your mind? What's the first thing you think of? Do you go back to your freshman year? Do you? What are some things that are going through your mind being a senior, that this is how your high school basketball career ended?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like, I was so happy, but I was sad too, knowing I wouldn't be able to experience this ever again. But I was so grateful it did happen for my very last year of playing.
And where do you go from here? What are your plans for next year?
Going to college, to Trenton, and starting my future, I guess.
Is there any particular field that you're looking at?
I'm going to business management.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, hey, Kendra, congratulations, and thanks for being part of the Country Financial Team of the Week, undefeated state champion.
Thank you.
And who do we have next?
McKinley Fletcher.
McKinley, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So how does it feel to be state champion?
Feels pretty good. Makes me feel special.
Where were you when the clock went to 0?
I was standing on the sideline by the bench.
What's going through your mind? What's the first thing that hit your mind when the buzzer went off?
I couldn't believe that we had actually won. Like it was crazy. I had my doubts like when we were down, and so I just couldn't believe that we actually had won.
What just the entire weekend, the travel, the hotels, the food, the games, obviously. What are some things that you're gonna take home and never forget? What are just one or two moments?
Just the whole experience. I don't know, like the charter bus that we got to take down there that we got like donations for. That was really cool.
One of the fathers got a number of boosters and donors, and instead of having to take a regular school bus down, they went ahead and got us because nobody ever rides back, after a state tournament. So they got us a charter bus to go down. This is about 4.5 hours, and it was spectacular. It was fun. They got to ride in style. It was special.
Very good. Well, so who do we have next? Where are we going now?
Michaela Schad.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Michaela.
Michaela, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Tell us a little bit about your experience. What are some things you're not going to forget?
Just like how the community showed up, being new to this community since I moved here this year, and just seeing how like good the community is.
What and where were you when the buzzer went off?
I was on the bench by my sister.
All right. Who's the first person you hugged?
My sister.
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, there's 7 of you in the room, so I knew all of you couldn't be on the floor. Tell us one or two things you're not going to forget.
Probably just like getting to play with these girls for like 1 year because I'm a senior, so it's my last year and I got to move here and play with them, and then just the community and how like they showed up and everyone being there.
What does it feel like walking through the hallways now, knowing that you're a undefeated state champion? What's it like there at Meadville High School?
I don't know. It feels pretty good. I didn't expect it.
And being a senior, what plans do you have for next year?
To go to NCMC and get a business degree.
Very good. Very good. Well, Michaela, congratulations, and thanks for being part of the Country Financial Team of the Week.
Thank you.
Coach, what do you do now?
I thought that Saturday morning was the first time I didn't get up to start looking for film and watch the next opponent. We had spent the last 2 weeks. We did the countdown. Some other coaches may do that where 128 start and then you're down to 64 and then 32, and we did that countdown. It was pretty neat because when we got to 4 and then 2, now we're holding that up, and that actually means something because there's just you. So it's been pretty special. We're gonna take a little time, actually maybe a couple of weeks, then start working for next year. We lose this 7 right here, and the 8th one couldn't be here this morning, but 3 of these girls are seniors, and so we have because Kinley and Michaela were kind of our sixth man, 7th man, but we returned 3 starters. We lose Mallory and Kendra, who will be, even though they're not very tall stature-wise, they will be sorely missed because defensively they were outstanding. Kinley most obviously will step in as the 4th starter, so we're going to have to replace that 5th one. But they promised me they're going to get in the gym. We're going to do a lot of work because it'd really be special to go back again.
You bet. Well, Coach Harrell Hall, ladies, I've greatly appreciated it. I've been honored to get to know you over the past couple of weeks, and my dad and I sat courtside for both your games over the weekend. And I don't think you saw me, but I was there. But I really enjoyed watching you, and I've enjoyed following you all year. And thanks so much for giving up your time here at the Missouri Sports Network. And it's been an honor to visit with you. And congratulations.
Thank you. We really enjoyed this. It's been great. Thank you.
You're watching the Missouri Sports Network here at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
It means the world to me to have a job where I can help farmers. That's what I want to do, is be here for them.
Alan became a counselor in a rough time. He just has a feeling for what we as farmers are going through.
I learned that there's not a given in life. It takes a team, not only us, but Country Financial. And I've learned that there's people that also are going to watch out for us and that care.
Hey there, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Certainly glad you've tuned in here live from the Pizza Ranch studio. Pizza Ranch with 7 locations across the state of Missouri, and they also host our tip-off club meetings for the entire season of basketball. Soon to be the leadoff club coming up on Monday. We go down south to the South Iron Panthers, 3-time Class 1 state champions, and head coach Dusty Dankins. And Coach Dankins, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We're excited to be here. We're excited about 3 times in a row winning Class 1 state championship, and just so thankful for the opportunities that these guys have had, and they've came through whenever it's needed. And thanks for having us on.
Hey, you bet, Coach. And I've been at all 3 of those state championship games. How does this one rank? When you look back, this may have been the biggest challenge you've had.
Yeah, each one of them are special in their own unique way. The first one in 21, we had a really great group of guys that played a long time together and had a lot of talent. And 4 of those 6 guys are playing collegiately right now. And we were just searching to get one. We'd had some injuries previously in years leading up to that. And it just kind of felt like, man, we might just have some type of a jinx against us or something. So, getting that one and just kind of running the table and playing some really good basketball and winning by large margins kind of eased that nervousness a little bit. But then last year we returned, a good nucleus of that group, and these guys behind me, really stepped into some bigger roles, and we got on a real hot tear at the end and played some really great basketball and kind of, went through the state tournament, winning comfortably. And then this year, after graduating the last 2 years, 6 or 7 guys and guys that really carried a lot of the load, we felt like we had a really good shot of doing something special again, but it was going to require a lot of growth and improvement in our players. And we saw exactly that. The past summer, we went to work, and there was a lot of really tough days, in June playing, and really challenged guys to get better on both ends of the court. And there was a lot of ugly moments. Well, we get into the fall and guys come back, and we've seen, man, there's some players that have matured more. They've grown a little bit. They've gotten stronger. They've gotten, a little bit more coordinated. Their skill sets have gotten better. And we get in November and start playing, and we're like, hey, these guys have gotten a lot better, and we've got a real shot if we can just continue to figure out this team's DNA and what's needed and how to go about winning tough, close games, which we felt like we were going to be in. We've got a real shot, and they just stayed the course and overcame some adversity throughout the season. The injuries, we had some injuries, some illnesses, and just every team goes through, tough moments, especially in January. And you hope by middle of February, you got things back where they need to be, and they did. And they had a great mindset, and they took our community and our school and their families on a great finish, a great ride there at the end. And I think our last 7 games, 4 of them were in overtime, and a lot of tough, close games, and just a unique experience, tremendous one. And these guys did a fantastic job of just putting it all out there and getting it done and bringing home another state title for our school and our community.
Yeah, and a couple of those overtime, 3 of those overtime games were in within a 4-game stretch there, including the district championship over Bunker, which was a 64-51 overtime game. Take us back to that district championship and what was that like, and how did that prepare you for that Final Four into the championship run?
Yes, that was a tough stretch. We played Steelville and Festus going to the district tournament, which are much larger schools than us, a double overtime game and another overtime game, and then getting into Bunker, into that district finals. They're a rival. They're a conference school. They were this season, they were 2 ranked 2nd and 3rd in Class 1. So they were a legit state caliber basketball team in Class 1. And that was the 3rd time we played them. And the previous 2 times they had the lead early in the game, and we were able to come back and get the win. Well, that district championship game was kind of opposite. We really came out and had a great first quarter, and I think actually was up like 17-5 or 17-7 or something like that. And then we kind of just faltered a little bit. They got hot, and it was a close game to the end. And we were very fortunate to get it. They had the ball with 5 seconds to go and had a chance to win it. And our defense got a really big stop. And I think, earlier in the season, we've had some of those games, the Christmas tournament, where we won 2 games one against Festus and North County by 1 point and had to get big stops. And they had the ball at the end of the game, and we were able to get a stop and get a win. I think those things, helped our basketball team learn, hey, how to win those, and execution needs to happen at those times, and not fouling and just being solid there. Well, we were able to get it in overtime. And overtime, we just kind of took off from there and just, caught our second win and got a run and stretched it out. And it's just been a season kind of like that. It's been tough, close games at the end. And these guys have just seems like you go through the game and all of a sudden you look up on the scoreboard and you're like, hey, South Iron's going to win this game. And it's just, it's kind of like that in the state championship game as well.
You get to that semifinal game and you're taking on Jefferson, Conception, South Nottoway, Platte Valley. I'm not sure who they are, but you take that team on, and that's a team. And I remarked going into it on Twitter that only 3 teams have won 3 in a row, at least 3 in a row state titles. Well, one of them was Jefferson, and they knew what it was like in their history. They had won 3 in a row. Take us, to kind of take us through that game, and then into a St. Elizabeth team that was very physical.
Yeah, the Jefferson game, Coach Germain is a legend. He's been doing a long time, and he was the head coach of that stretch where they won 3 in a row. We knew they were talented. He has a son that's a point guard. We knew they were skilled. They knew how to play. And we just tried to go in there with a good game plan of making it really tough for them to get easy shots on the offensive end, and us offensively to just have a little bit of composure and poise against their defense and find our spots and find great shots on good balance. And if we didn't feel like we had, great balance, great attempts, let's keep the ball going and let's find other teammates. And, our guys did a fantastic job of starting that game with that mindset, and did a really, really great job defensively of really stymieing them and keeping them from finding any flow. And they've got they can score from inside and out. And I thought we did a really nice job of taking away the paint and the easy baskets early, and us getting some shots to fall, and really just set the tone for that game, and just kind of took off from there. And we had, some great, scoring from inside and out from our basketball team. And, Colton, I think he was 4 for 6 from 3 that game, and just was tremendous there. And Martez had a really nice game as well as our other guys chipping in. And then going to the St. Elizabeth game, we kind of felt like that if we could kind of do the same thing and maybe get some transition buckets and get some easy ones to fall early, we might be able to be in a good spot early, just kind of, take it and go with it. Well, that wasn't the case. St. Elizabeth came out and really did a nice job of hurting us inside and out. And we just didn't know how to take away, their 3-point shooting and the inside scoring for them. And we were just kind of off balance, and we missed some shots, and they really gained the momentum from the start. And it was kind of the whole first half was really challenging for us to just kind of keep our mentality of, hey, let's just stay the course. We've been here before. We've had tough starts where we haven't came out and played cleanly in the first half. We'll eventually get there, but we got to make sure that we don't dig ourselves too deep of a hole. And, coming out of halftime there at the beginning of the third quarter, I got the guys back together to start the third quarter on the court, and told them, said, this will be a great story to tell your kids one day, your grandkids one day, that you were behind going into the second half of the state championship game, and you guys came back and found a way to win. And we're very fortunate that we were able to cut it and get it close there in the fourth quarter. And then they missed a few free throws that give us a little bit better chance. And anybody that knows that, we tied it up with 5 seconds to go. Martez, pokes the offensive rebound out of a guy's hands, and Colton is there to kind of scoop it up and put it in. And we go to overtime, and kind of the same thing we've seen this year in overtime games. We just kind of take off from there and do a really good job of just taking control. And it was just such a tremendous range of emotions during that game, just trying to, keep guys in check. And then, you're like, okay, it's time. And then all of a sudden you get there in that moment and you are successful. And then we get the breakaway dunk and the overtime. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is happening again. And it's a really sweet, special moment from us on the sidelines, I'm sure from the players, and then the fans. It was just tremendous. And, people in our community are still bubbling up and down, just can't believe it, and just really excited for these young men. And it was just a treat and a joy, and been very blessed to be a part of it.
I'll tell you what, you win a state championship, and the catfish tastes a little better, and there's weeks that the food tastes better, and you sleep a lot better. I know that.
For certain.
Well, Coach, you've got the bulk of your team here. You might introduce them just kind of one at a time, and I'll visit with them.
Sure. Yes. Front row are our seniors: Gabe Rubel, Martez Burse, Colton Dinkins, Eli Kruger, and then the back line is sophomore Sawyer Huff, junior Will Malone, and junior Marquise Burse. And we had another one that saw a considerable amount of playing time, and actually he's getting his wisdom teeth cut out today, and that's Hunter Huff. So he's unable to be here with us, but that's our guys that got major minutes, and we're so happy and excited for them.
I'll start with Gabe. Gabe, how are you today?
Good.
Tell us a little bit about what your experience was like over the weekend. What are some things that you're not going to forget?
I just won't forget for many, many years to come on how I was able to be a part of all three teams that went to state, and just be able to be a part of the teamwork that each team has had. Each year it was a new team, and we had to find a way to put it together each year. And I just was a part of that all 3 years, to be able to put each team into like a puzzle and just finish it up as a finished product.
What are you going to miss most, about this group and about your high school career in basketball?
I will miss being able to play with my teammates, probably, because I'll never be able to do it again because I'm senior. So,
yeah. What now? Being a senior, do you have any plans for next year? Or you planning on going to college, or?
I plan on going to work.
Going to work. All right. Well, Gabe, hey, congratulations being part of a state championship, 3-time state championship team, and it was fun to watch you guys. Actually got to sit on the bench last year during the game. When you won the state title, but it's been an honor to watch you guys play over the last 3 years, and congratulations.
Thank you.
You bet. And Martez is next. How are you, sir?
Good.
Tell the viewers a little bit about what your experience was like. What are some things that you're not going to forget?
Oh, my experience was great. One thing I won't forget is my little brother getting a dunk in the state championship game. As kids, we always talked about making it to the game. That was one of the big things that we wanted to accomplish this year. And for me to be able to play with both of my brothers in the state championship game was a pretty special thing. For him to get a dunk, I didn't want him to get one before I did, but I was still happy he got it, and he was excited about it. So that's a big thing for me.
Can you imagine what the Thanksgiving table is going to be like for the next 20 years? You're going to get to hear all about that dunk.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Martez, if you could go back, the 2023 Martez could go back at that 2019 freshman and give yourself some advice based on what you know now, and not knowing you're going to go through, win 3 state titles in a row. What advice would you give a young Martez to kind of keep him on the straight and narrow, I guess, so to speak?
Block out the noise and just stay the course. Don't really listen to what everybody else have to say. Don't get in your own head. Just play the game. You play it the right way, and it'll turn out good for you.
Can you believe how fast it went?
No, not really. I never would have thought it would have came this quick, but it did.
And Martez, what are your plans after high school?
I plan to go and play college basketball. I don't know where yet, but we're breaking it down to that point.
Yeah. You got any particular area of study?
I want to go for athletic training, but I haven't boiled it down to that yet. So it's still deciding.
Well, Martez, again, congratulations on a 3-time state champion.
Thank you.
And next, is it Colton?
Yes.
Colton, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell us some things that you're not going to forget from this past weekend.
Definitely just the energy in the arena from playing in those games compared to the other ones. You really notice the different type of energy and just the feeling out there on the court.
Over the past 3, what stands out to you most about the past 3?
There's a lot of different moments in different games, but the championship, or this past championship, the 2023, would definitely be going into overtime and then Marquise getting that dunk, and just once again the energy in the arena when he did that, it was a totally different mood.
What was it like? Now you've had that experience 3 times now, but that first time coming out into that arena, had you been in an arena that large? And I mean, that seats 12,000 people. What were your thoughts your sophomore year going into it compared to this year? Maybe more relaxed, knowing you'd already been there.
Definitely. The first time I walked out on that court, I remember looking at the goal and I don't know if I can even hit it just looks so little out there. And then the past experience really helps take the nerves away the next time, and you can focus more on like the game instead of what everything else you're noticing out there on the court.
Very good. And senior, so what are your plans for next year?
That's the end of my basketball career. I'm not going to play any college basketball, but right now I'm studying finance, so I'll do something in that area.
All right, very good. Well, Colton, hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I didn't catch the young man next to him's name.
Eli Kruger.
Eli, how are you, sir?
Doing good.
Tell us a little bit about what you are going to remember forever from this weekend.
Really just being out there with this group of guys, I'll never get that again. It's been a real good time with them. Just great out there that weekend.
What are you going to miss most? I mean, it may be bus rides or it may be practice. I don't know.
I really think the practices I'll miss a lot because the coach can get after us a little bit, but we really do have a good time. So
very good. Are there moments in practice, or are there certain drills you like, or is there a moment that stands out? Maybe somebody fell down or something. Are there things that you're going to?
We were doing a closeout drill, and I was guarding Martez, and he just snapped me and laid me down on the ground, and everybody just started laughing, and I was so embarrassed. It was so bad.
Well, Eli, what are your plans for next year?
I'm going to be attending Raleigh S&T and studying in aerospace engineering.
Ah, you're one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible. I could probably even barely spell that. But
yeah, he might have his name on the side of a building one day.
Good. Well, Eli, hey, congratulations and thanks for being part of the show.
Thank you.
And Sawyer in the back.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
Tell us a little bit about what your experience was like and some things you're not going to forget.
I'm just thinking the build up and going to practices and the night before the state championship and just thinking about it all night, not being able to fall asleep, but then also going back to the bench right before halftime and just knowing that we've been there before and that we can pull it off if we really stick to it.
What, as you look back over the last 3, which of them are going to stand out the most to you?
Probably this one. Got the most playing time in this one. And I wasn't part of the very first one. I was a manager then, and I was just in the bleachers videoing it thinking, I just want to do this one day. I want to come back. And I was ready for it.
Very good. Well, Sawyer, hey, congratulations. And are you a junior?
A sophomore.
You're a sophomore. Okay, well, then you wouldn't have been part of the – if you were there, there's something wrong on the birth certificate. But my apologies. I didn't realize you're just sophomore. But
that's right.
You're looking forward to going to maybe 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah, hopefully.
Very good. I'm not putting any pressure on you, Sawyer, but hey, congratulations. And then Will, how are you?
Good, you?
Good. And Will, what grade are you?
Junior.
Junior. What was your experience like this year?
I loved it. I loved playing with these guys. The dunk really was my favorite experience, and then Colton getting the shot off was really my favorite experience. I've never jumped off that bench faster and jumped with joy.
And that was the bucket that sent you to overtime?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That happened right in front of me. I was sitting on the floor, and that happened right in front of me. I couldn't see how he got a hold of the ball, but it went in, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
What are your plans in the off season here as you prepare for next year?
I'm gonna play some AAU.
Very good. Well, Will, congratulations.
Thank you.
You bet. And now the dunk. First off, Marquise, thank you so much for being part of the show. And what was that like?
It was pretty cool, for my first time playing in a state championship game and being able to experience it with my brother for the first time. It was pretty great. Then, of course, the dunk, it was good. My legs were kind of dead, but I guess it was just the adrenaline and the atmosphere. So, pretty good.
As you're making your way to the basket, what's going through your mind? I mean, you know you're going to dunk it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking nothing but dunk. As soon as I got the steal, I had to dunk it. It was just the energy that was in the building and the energy the team brought. So,
is that going to be your most memorable moment over the weekend?
Yes, probably, yeah.
And you're the one that tipped the ball away on the offensive rebound and tipped it to Colton?
No, that was Martez.
Oh, okay. My apologies. So, well, you guys can't now. You will have some stuff to go back and forth at Thanksgiving, 20 years from now. But you don't get that dunk if he doesn't tip that ball into Colton's hand.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing in the off season.
Putting in more work, trying to get the team together, everybody in the gym and on the same page so we can prepare for next season.
Very good. Well, hey, congratulations, Marquise, and congratulations on a state title.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
You bet. And Coach, you wake up Saturday morning, you don't have any film to watch, you don't have any, stats to do. What are you doing now? How are you spending your time?
Well, finally getting some good night's rest where I can sleep more than 3 or 4 hours without thinking about trying to help these guys. And I'll just trying to actually get caught up on athletic director stuff and things that you put to the back. When you're making a run, you're trying to put all your attention and focus on the details. And you have that 2-week window where it's pretty intense. It's pretty furious. And you got a lot of things you have to do to prepare your team, but also the admin things of preparing hotels and where you're going to eat and those types of things. And it's a wonderful 2 weeks, but it's very draining. So right now it's just kind of like, all right, let's charge the batteries back up here and take care of some things. And we're going into our spring sports. So that requires some attention. And we also have a lot of other things, going on with these guys since they won a state title. There's interviews and we got to figure out, rings and all those types of things that are a lot of fun to do, but it's also quite a bit on your plate. But we're excited about it and very thankful that we get to do those things.
So now you've made your way to Springfield 3 times, and anytime I'm going somewhere, I think about food. So have you picked out a favorite restaurant? I mean, that you made sure you got to every time you were up here?
Well, I tell you, we like going to the hill down there on Battlefield. That's easy to get in and out, and they've got a ton of a great selection of Italian food, and we always try to hit that, and the guys always enjoy that. But also we do have a little bit of tradition. Is afternoon when we're done, we hit Longhorn Steakhouse before we come back and have a big juicy steak.
You bet. Well, Coach, again, congratulations. It's been a thrill to kind of watch you guys. And like I said, I got to sit on the bench last year, was sitting on the floor this year. It's been a lot of fun for us at the Missouri Sports Network, and of course your connections to Southwest Baptist and to Coach Archer, and that makes it a little bit more interesting as well. And so I've really enjoyed it, and it's been an honor to get to know you guys and know your program.
Well, same here. We appreciate your coverage and you guys supporting us, and all the things throughout the year of just kind of getting our little name out there to everyone that, hey, we do know how to play a little basketball over here. So thanks for your part in that. And it's been a wonderful experience, and appreciate you guys and all you do.
You bet. Guys, congratulations, and we'll hopefully get to visit with you next year as well. So you're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
We believe banking should make your life greater. It starts with affordable options to meet today's needs and tomorrow's dreams. From smart account options that fit your style to flexible loans for what comes next. It means convenient ways to access and manage your money whenever you need it and wherever you're headed. Most of all, it takes great support. Someone you can count on for trusted guidance and to be there for you every step of the way. Great options, great convenience, great support for life. Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters.
Has a home field advantage. We find ourselves going to Tipton High School, home of the Cardinals, and the Class II state champions on the women's side, the Tipton Lady Cardinals and head coach Jason Culpepper. And Coach Culpepper, hey, thanks so much for helping set this up.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Coach, a tremendous run this year. Kind of put this year for the Cardinals, just kind of put a bow on it. Obviously a tremendous season ends with the state championship. But talk about that run throughout the season. You finished 31-1. The only team you lose to is the team you beat in the state championship game.
Yeah, our girls this year had an amazing season. Starting out, with Ozark to start the season, followed that up with wins against California, Cardinal Ritter, Jeff City Skyline, Hickman, Jeff City Jays. We had a heck of a regular season. And then we went into the postseason, and our defense was locked in and ready to go. And we had a great postseason run and finished it up with a 19-point win over a team that we'd lost to in January. So perfect end to a perfect season.
Well, you're coming off of a season a year ago, where you finished 25-5, I think. What did you have to replace off of last year's team due to graduation, and who kind of stepped in and filled some of those roles?
Kenna Bixler was our starting forward last year, and she was the only girl on our team that was a senior last year. And we replaced her with Briar Cox's sister, Brett Cox, who was our sixth man. And she did a great job all summer stepping in and taking over. And she's, kind of a different player. She's a 6 foot forward with kind of a guard skill set as far as her ability to pass and see the floor and attack. So, it really opened things up for us on offense as well.
Now, that last stretch, as you go into the district tournament, you got Eugene and Sweet Springs. Not much competition there. Then you get into the New Franklin, 61-18 final, 64-29 over Northeast Cairo. Then you pick up a good Norwood team that had won 3 games combined over the past 2 seasons, and they get a player back. Take us through that semifinal and then that state championship game.
That Norwood team, you look at them on the last 2 years, and they hadn't won a lot of games. Then you start watching them on film, and you kind of figure out why they were pretty good this year. They had their senior guard that came back that was an extremely good player that missed the last 2 seasons for ACL surgeries. And then you also looked at their personnel, and they had 3 freshmen that played a big role in their team this year. They had a 6'1" post that was a freshman. They started another freshman most of the year at forward that was like a 5'10" girl, and then they brought another freshman off the bench that was an extremely skilled guard. They were young. They also had their girl back off of missing 2 years that was an extremely good player. They were a good team. They played good defense. They had the ability to score inside out. I thought our girls did an excellent job in that semifinal game, limiting them to 1 shot. They kind of started the game that night, just trying to stall and slow it down. And they had 1 possession that lasted over 2 minutes, and they had several other possessions that lasted a minute in that first quarter. I thought our girls did a really good job of settling in and getting really high quality shots, high percentage shots in the end of the first quarter and started the second quarter to where we built up an 11-0 lead. And then from that point forward, Norwood kind of had to play our game. They had to try and score. And then, we ended up scoring 20 points in the second quarter and 20 in the third quarter as well to kind of stretch that lead out. In the third quarter, they did make a run at us, and they cut it to 15. But our girls answered back with a couple threes from Myra and Charlie that stretched the lead back out to 20. And then, from that point forward, it was just trying to, finish the game off, rebounding and defense in the fourth quarter.
Outstanding. We've got you've got several young ladies in the room, but three right there with you. Start off with I guess Briar Cox, and tell us a little bit about what she does and what makes her special.
Yeah, Briar. She's got a lot of things that make her special, but she's an extremely, extremely good rebounder. She finished her career right around 1,300 career rebounds and right around 1,300 career points. So she scored well, she rebounded well, all 4 years. And then next to her we have Myra Class, who scored a few more points than that, but she finished with 2,500 career points. And Charlie over here, she's sophomore girl that's averaged around 13 points, was our second leading scorer this year, and plays extremely good defense, and usually guarded the other team's best player if they were the one or the two, and then if they were the three or the four, Myra took them.
Well, Briar, how are you today?
Great.
How are you?
Really busy.
Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts were of this past weekend. What are some things that stood out, and what are some things you're not going to forget?
I've already been to state like 2 other times, so I mean, it wasn't really like anything new to me, but it did feel different because we went to the championship and we won this time, so that did feel really good. I mean, the whole weekend was just like so fun. Going to state is just the best time of your life. It's the best experience you'll ever have as an athlete, I think.
What are one or two things that stand out that you're never going to forget? And it may be when that buzzer went off.
Yeah, like whenever Myra stole the ball and had just like a wide open layup at the other end of the court. I'll never forget that. I mean, it just made me so happy because I knew that it just like sealed it. Like I knew we were just gonna win it. I'm gonna start crying right now. But, getting our medals and hugging the coaches. I mean, it really. Just being with the team.
So tell me.
And last few moments with everyone was just great.
Tell me a little bit about your roles and responsibilities on the team. Coach talked about some of the things you do, and has your role changed since your freshman year?
No, I mean, Coach put me in. He told me that he put me in freshman year because I had to go out. Someone had to go out and rebound, and I did. I did just that, and ever since then, it's just been rebounding mainly. And obviously, as a 5'11" post, you're gonna have to score some. I mean, so just sophomore year, I scored more than I had in other teams because we didn't have very many talented players to score as much. But then I just rebounding basically. Yeah.
Very good. Who's the first person you got to hug when you realized you'd won the state title?
Myra. I think it's Myra. I don't know. It was all just a blur. I mean, you just go and hug anyone that you can. It's just everyone.
What's it been like since you've been back at school?
Weird. It's been weird. I mean, after you want to stay, that's like, what do you do? Like it's just weird, but it's also great. I mean, I love our community. I love the support that we've gotten. We've gotten so much support from everyone in the hall saying congrats, and all the posts that I've seen. I mean, anytime I went on social media, I just see post after post after post about our going to state, and it's just great. Love the support from everyone and surrounding communities.
Very good. Very good. So have you had to pay for a meal since you've been back?
Since we've been back, yes.
Well, I tell you what, coaches and players alike tell me all the time that, hey, you win a state title and for the next few weeks, the food always tastes better. You sleep so much better. And, but Briar, congratulations on the state championship and thanks for being part of the Missouri Sports Network here today.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Now we've got on the other side of Coach, we've got Charlie Bailey, sophomore. Coach, tell us a little bit about Charlie.
Charlie is a sophomore point guard, 2-guard for us. She does an extremely good job on the offensive end. She's a knockdown shooter. She averaged around 46% from 3 this year. She averaged around 13 and a half points per game. She really took a bigger role this year in handling the basketball as well. She did a phenomenal job being
That's okay.
she did a phenomenal job being the two guard for us. Helped things out a lot, against those bigger schools that would press. She just took a lot larger role this year in things, and she did a great job for us.
Charlie, how are you today?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Springfield over the weekend. What was it like? What are some things you're not going to forget?
Well, it was definitely different for me because, like Briar said, she's been there 2 times, and those past 2 times I was just in the audience. So, I mean, it's great to watch, but to be an athlete playing is completely different. It's awesome. Like, I love it. Like, there's no way to describe it. Like, I just can't. I definitely, I don't think that I'll ever forget how it was to run out. Like, we've done spotlights at our school, and, like, turn off the lights and have a spotlight, but nothing beats how it was there and how we had like our whole like a video for us before we ran out. I felt like I was in college, like maybe the WNBA. I didn't know what was happening. It was awesome.
What was it like when you first walked into the arena? That's a 12,000 seat arena. What were your thoughts there? Did that give you some pause maybe a little bit?
I mean, it kind of definitely made me more nervous to play, I guess, because I mean, I've been in there before, but again, it was to watch like my sister. Like I didn't have any pressure to play. I was just there to cheer on. And so it was definitely different. It made me a little nervous, but more excited just because I know that our town was going to pack the stands and be loud cheering us on.
What as you go forward here, you're just a sophomore. How do you get kind of mentally prepared for the games? Are you nervous before games being an underclassman?
I would say I get a little bit nervous depending on what games we play, but I mean, I think that it kind of just it's in the moment. After I warm up, I mean, I'm fine. I'm ready to play.
More nervous at a game or more nervous right now?
I mean, right now I'm a little nervous. Yeah, my legs kind of going ham.
That's okay. Who was the first person that you heard from after the game that wasn't at the game? Did you get your phone blow up? Who's texting you or calling you after the game?
A lot of people, and a lot of people I'm not even close with. I feel like it was like my birthday. I kept getting congrats. I'm just thank you. It felt really weird.
Very good. Very good. Well, Charlie, again, congratulations on the state championship, and thanks for being part of the show today.
Thank you.
And now, before we get to our next young lady, Myra Class, this is a part of the Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks Athlete of the Week presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol. And we'll run a little clip here real quick, and then we'll come back and visit with our Athlete of the Week.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective, and find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Chevrolet.
So Myra Class, senior, scored her 2,500th point. Actually in the state championship game, I believe. Am I correct, Coach?
Yes, you're correct.
Tell us a little bit about Myra.
Myra has been with us all 4 years. It's been a great career for her and for us. Started out as a freshman. We ended up playing for a state championship her freshman year, and she was a big part of that team as well. She actually scored, I think, 23 points in the first half, 21 points in the first half of the state championship game her freshman year. She's not new to that stage. And then, as a sophomore, she got to return back to the Final Four. And then we lost a really close game to Skyline in overtime. And then last year, we came up just one game short at the quarterfinals game from returning back to the Final Four. And then this year, just a storybook ending to a career by finishing things off with a state title. And then, for her, getting her 2,500 point in a state championship game is phenomenal. I mean, she deserves it and everything else that she gets with it because she's an extremely hard worker. She's up here all the time. People don't even know how many hours she spends up here at the gym, putting in time shooting and just adding new things to her game to improve and get better.
Myra, First off, on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations on being named Chevrolet Athlete of the Week presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol.
Thank you.
Did you realize that you were close to 2,500?
No, I actually had no idea that I was close at all. They did not tell me that, so I'm grateful that they didn't tell me that because that adds extra nerves and didn't need this.
I also didn't know because I knew about 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before that game, that she was going to be really close to 2,500 points. But once we kind of got in that home stretch of New Franklin, Cairo, Norwood, and then the state championship against LeBond, I kind of didn't pay attention to the individual stuff, and I completely lost track of it.
So when did you find out, Meyer? Was it after the game or during the game?
Well, it was actually like when we were waiting to get our medals. One of my sister's friends who had a sign held up, I asked him if I got that, and he said yeah. So it was pretty cool.
Very good. Do you remember the first basket you scored?
Ever?
Ever, yeah.
Ever?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in your freshman year. I don't mean.
Oh, I have no idea.
To go back and look now that you said that.
It's probably a layup though.
Yeah.
4 or 3.
Well, tell us, Myra, tell us about your experiences, this past weekend. What was it like? What are some things that stand out to you?
It was awesome. It was good to be back. Not going last year was not the most fun thing in the world, but I'd have to agree with Charlie on the most memorable part. It's definitely when you're sitting there getting announced at the state championship. I remember it from freshman year, and it was almost the same, and it was just cool to see everybody in the stands, everybody wearing red from any way you look. There was people everywhere supporting us. I would say that's definitely up there.
What are some things over your career that you are going to remember? This has got to be maybe at the top of the list, but what are some standout things that you remember that you won't forget?
I think definitely the postseason runs in general, they kind of trump over everything else because you're just in that moment. You're so excited, and everybody's just trying to get a state championship done. And like all of those, especially when we played South Callaway, is one that I remember a lot because we went out there and there was a lot of doubt on if we would win or not. And we just went in there, we took care of business. So that's one of the ones that's definitely up there for me and memorable.
Ira, if you could go back to 2019 and give a freshman Myra class some advice based on what you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
I'd say probably just always staying focused and never letting any of the outside stuff get to you, like during a game, whether that's like refs, how the fans are acting, the other team student section, anything like that. I think being more mentally tough, especially for last season, more so than this season, having more composure would have helped a lot.
Very good. Well, again, on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network and Chevrolet, congratulations on being named as Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks Athlete of the Week presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol.
Thank you.
You bet. And, Coach, I know we've got some other young ladies there, and they can feed their way in. Yeah, they can go ahead and bring them over now. And, you are in school, so there'll be a little bit of background noise, so we understand that. But got some young ladies here, so we got 3 more coming in, and you might introduce them one at a time, and we'll talk with them. So go ahead. Who do we have first?
Okay, right here next to me, on my left, we have Brett Cox, senior. And then we have on this side of me, on my right side, we have Josie Dykes. Or you want to be Josephine? Josie Dykes. And then over here on the very end, we have Olivia Wolf, senior. They're all 3 seniors.
Okay. Well, we'll start with, did you say Brett Cox?
Yep, Brett Cox.
Tell us a little bit about Brett and what she does.
Brett was a starter for us this year. She was our senior forward that played, a lot of different roles for us depending upon what the other team did. There were some games where we ran kind of the point guard through the high post, and she did a great job in that role. There were other games where she was asked to step out and kind of play 4 out some and kind of be like that 4th guard and distribute the basketball, set screens, and do things of that nature. So, Brett's kind of like that Swiss Army tool that we have that can kind of do about anything. And, she's 6 foot, so that helps a lot as well. She rebounds well. She blocks a lot of shots with her size and her length. And, she does a lot of things for us. On this side, Josie Dykes, she comes off the bench for us. Josie did a great job this year in a lot of different ways. Josie and Olivia both have kind of a role as a senior of being great teammates. They also have a role of being the most challenging that they can be for us in practice against our starters, and they really do a great job in that role. And then in games throughout the season, they've came in huge for us. In limited minutes, they've came up huge for us and coming in and Josie getting stops on defense, or Olivia having to play the post against like the East Buchanan girl that's going down to jury. Olivia came in that game against East Buchanan and played a lot of huge minutes for us when Bri was in foul trouble and then Brett needed some breaks. So they've played different roles for us all year, but providing great senior leadership throughout the entire year, being some of the best teammates in the state of Missouri would be what I would consider both of their roles.
We'll start with Brett. Brett, thanks for being part of the show today. Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are about the weekend and the state championship.
It didn't really seem real to me. That's what I kept telling Charlie and Myra when we were getting our medals. I just kept telling them, I don't even know what's happening. It doesn't feel like we just won a state championship. But after, what really hit me is when we got back to Tipton. It was really just sad knowing that it was my last year.
What are some things
that we ended it that way?
What are some things that are going to stand out the most about your high school career? Obviously, a state championship has to be one, but a lot of times it's the memories, it's the relationships you develop. What are some things that you're not going to forget?
Definitely just the relationship with the team. I wouldn't probably want to play basketball if it wasn't this team. I was indecisive when I was going into high school about playing, but now I'm so happy that I did.
Now, being a senior, have you made a decision on what you're going to do next year?
I'm not going to play basketball next year, but I'm going to go to college at State Fair.
In any particular area of study?
Business.
Business. Is there background? I mean, have you got family that are business people?
Not really. I work at a job that deals with money, and I like working with money. So
there you go. Well, hey, congratulations on the state championship, and thanks so much for being part of the show today.
Thank you.
And then, is it Josie?
Yes.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your experiences.
We went to state 3 times, and being able to experience all 3 times has been so memorable for me. And being able to have it with the team all 4 years, even though we fell short last year, it's just been such a good opportunity to have, and I'll never forget it. Even if I wasn't starting, I was there for all my girls, and it was just so nice to be there with them and support them.
Josie, what are you going to miss most?
Probably the memories and the people. A lot of us are seniors and we're going to go all separate ways, so it's going to be really different not having those people by my side and being able to stay in touch. It'll just be different not being able to see all these people every single day like I have for the past 4 years.
So what are your plans after high school?
I'm not sure where I'm going to go to college, but I'm going to go into nursing. I'm going to major in nursing somewhere.
Well, Josie, hey, congratulations on the state championship, and thanks for being part of the show today.
Thank you.
And Olivia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So what are some things that are going to stand out that you're not going to forget about this team and this your career, basically?
I again would just say going to the Final Four 3 times and not playing very much, but still going is one of the best experiences I've ever had. I would also say just we're also close as a team, and I'm really just going to miss hanging out with them for 4 months out of the year.
So what are you going to miss the most? You talking about the relationships and hanging out? Is that what you're going to miss the most?
Yeah, we have a lot of inside jokes on the team, so just making those and just hanging out with them, honestly. I have a lot of close friends on this team, so just
What are some things that you look back on that make you smile, and you're thinking about something right now, apparently?
um. Sorry. Summer ball a lot was just some of the most fun times that I've had. We go to a water park as a team, which is just so fun, and just a lot of stuff like that. We do random things like go to a movie or just eat dinner together.
All right. Very good. Well, Olivia, thank you for being part of the show. Congratulations on the state championship.
Thank you.
Coach, kind of put a bow on. We don't have anyone else, do we?
Nope, that's
All
it.
right. Kind of put a bow on it. Just your thoughts about this group that's moving on now.
Yeah, so it's been a few days, so I've been trying to work through that. And, every time I think about the senior class as a whole, how much they've meant to the program, how much fun we've had over these last 4 years. It's just, sad. You think about every year whenever you lose that last game, you're always sad, and you always think that if you win a state championship, no one's going to be sad. Everybody's just going to be happy. But this year, more than other years, I learned that at the end of each season, the biggest reason why I'm sad is because the people, the people that you lose to graduation, and the fact that you just don't get to hang out like you used to, and so that's the biggest part for me. And if you're gonna end your career, ending it with a state championship is the best way to go out, because you get to continue creating memories with those kids. Whether it's coming back for a 10-year reunion at the state games, whenever you get to go down the floor, the 20-year reunion and things like that. I saw a picture of Skyline from their 20-year state reunion picture from this past weekend down there at the Final Four, and just seeing that those kids all show back up 20 years later when they're 38 years old and they have kids and they have families, and staying connected and still being a family like we are now is just awesome.
Very good. Coach, just on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations on the state championship, and I appreciate you guys being generous with your time here on the Missouri Sports Network. It's been an honor to get to visit, and kind of it's always fun to put voices and faces with names that you see and see so much of, and I'm just blessed to be able to kind of bounce around the state. I'm geographically challenged. I have no idea where Tipton is or Meatville is or anything like that, or South Iron for that matter. But it's always a pleasure to get to visit with the kids and the coaches that make it happen. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate what you do. You guys do a great job, and we always love seeing your guys' stuff and posts that you guys put on Twitter.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Couldn't do it without you. You've been watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 290,000 participants here in Missouri who take part in high school sports or activities.
Everyone has a home field advantage. It's state championship week here, and we go to Fairgrove High School and visit with Class 3 girls state champions head coach for the Fairgrove Lady Eagles, Jenny Talbert. Coach Talbert, thanks so much for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You guys are on spring break there, so we'll try and catch up with some of the players here later, maybe next week. But Coach, it still hadn't worn off yet, has it?
No, definitely hasn't. I think just being on spring break too, like not being at school this week at work, it's kind of weird. Like it still seems a little surreal that it all happened over the weekend, but still really excited when I go back and watch any videos or look at pictures. Just hard to believe it.
Well, coming into this season, last year 17-9, you lose one senior off of last year's team. You come into this year and a very tough schedule, and it always starts off with your own home tournament, and you could come out of there 0-3. With the
Right.
likes of the teams that are in there, you guys go through that tournament. West Plains get you, I think, at the end. But at what point during the season did you kind of feel like, hey, we may have an opportunity here to make a run?
I mean, for the first half of the year before Christmas, like that West Plains game, obviously we didn't win it, but I think that was good for us we competed in that. We actually had a lead and then kind of fell off late. And maybe some of our youth and inexperience showed. But we grew a lot from that loss. And then going forward, we had we played in a tournament at Mountain Home after Christmas, played some tough competition, Farmington, Arkansas, who just won a state title in Arkansas. And that was a lot of adversity for us. We lost 2 games back to back, which we hadn't done in a while. But I think from that moment, it kind of pushed us forwards. We went on a nice run of winning a lot of games after those losses in Arkansas. And then our last loss was against Skyline on February 2nd. We played them in a conference game. We'd beaten them once, and the girls definitely didn't overlook them, but we just didn't have the same fire when we played them. And we ended up losing by 3, and that was definitely a turning point. We really locked in talking about defense and rebounding and just how those things we have to have every night. And if we don't, you're going to have a lot more of these losses. And we implemented a few new drills to focus in on defense and rebounding, and we started doing those drills every single day. And I think they worked because we really played great defense after that loss going through the end of the season and all through the postseason.
Well, you look at just the last 10 or 12 games, you have to play Skyline twice. You have to play El Dorado Springs twice. You've got Stratford twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about how that prepared you for that run into the state championship.
Yeah, after that loss to Skyline, I think we went on a roll of having to play Eldo, Ava, St. James, another really good Class 4 team, Stratford. I mean, that was perfect for us. I think a lot of people would have looked at that schedule and thought, why are you doing this? Playing all these schools. But that's exactly what we needed. And we knew that our path, if we wanted to make a state run, it was going to be hard. We knew we were going to have to go through Stratford. We knew we were going to have to play, the possibility of playing a team like Diamond or Mansfield again, because we'd already played them once. And we knew ultimately if we wanted another shot at Skyline, we needed to get to the Final Four. And I know that after we lost to them, my assistants and I knew that was a possibility. We didn't really talk to the girls about it, but we knew that we would like to have another chance at playing Skyline. So I think those games at the end of the season really set us up well. I mean, obviously, they were tough opponents. They were all on the road except for the game against St. James. We played everybody at their own home floor, which I think also was good for us. And the girls just really, they stepped up, and our defense was really, really good.
Did anything surprise you, during this run? Was there something just eye-opening saying, I didn't know we could do that?
Well, I think, in the championship game, that's what a lot of people have asked me, like, you're down by 14 and how'd your girls keep fighting? And, I wasn't surprised that they didn't give up, like they just don't give up. We have a group of girls that, they're super competitive. We have 10 kids on the varsity team, and our practices were wars, like we would have maybe the starters versus the 5 non-starters, and on any given day, the non-starters would beat the starters because that's how competitive those girls are. So I knew that when we were down 14 that, if they would just focus in and get stops, that we could give ourselves a chance. So I think that was probably the growth moment for them, is looking at them in a timeout when we were down by 14 and saying, hey, we worked too hard to just fall over in the championship game. And none of them looked scared. They all were like, yeah, we got this. We're going to get stops, lock in on the defense. And they did. And they chipped away and made it a 4-point game at halftime. And, that was really key for us, that second quarter turnaround.
And I go back to that quarterfinal matchup with Mansfield. That's a 39-37 game. You kind of handled them earlier in the season.
Mhm.
Kind of take us through that, and obviously you see a lot of scores start going down as the deeper you get into the playoffs because every possession becomes so important.
Right.
Kind of take us through that game on the road at, I think that was at Warrensburg.
Warrensburg, yeah. Yeah, that was a battle. I knew going into it that, Coach Green over at Mansfield would probably slow it down. Like I just had a feeling that's what he would do, because he knew that that's how we like to play, and we obviously have a lot of depth. But and our girls, that was hard for them to adjust to, because I think a couple possessions Mansfield had the ball for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever, just literally holding the ball, and so we adjusted, but man, the girls just they buckled down. Again, we had a really key moment. We got a 10-second count in the backcourt against Mansfield late in the fourth. And that was literally just Cameron Green and I think Brooke Daniels, the only two maybe back there. There was a couple girls denying, beyond half court, but that was just them being like, hey, we got to get a stop. So they just guarded their hearts out and got a 10-second count. And there were a lot of little just defensive plays, hustle plays that made the big difference in that game, because when it's 39-37, yeah, like you said, every point, every possession was just such a big deal. And we missed a lot of free throws down the stretch, but the moment that stands out the most to me is Brooke Daniels, our sophomore point guard, was at the line for I believe it was a 1-on-1. And we had pulled all our rebounders back because on the previous free throw we had gotten a foul after the rebound. So we pulled them all back, and it was just Brooke and 4 Mansfield girls, and Brooke missed the free throw but got her own rebound. And I mean, that was huge. That was with 8 seconds to go. So she got 2 more shots, made 1 of 2, and that was the difference in the game. It was, instead of it being a 1-point game, it was a 2-point game. And Brooke actually also tipped the 3-point attempt by Logan Jones at the near the buzzer. So just some big hustle, like gritty plays. And that's just kind of who those girls are. They're just gritty. They don't quit, and they like to win.
Yeah. And I've had several coaches tell me that quarterfinal game is the toughest game because it's the one that puts you in the Final Four. And,
Right.
Mentally, it's just so difficult to deal with. And Coach, now you get El Dorado Springs, 54-52. Tell us just a little bit about the last couple of minutes in that game, because I was sitting courtside and it was frantic.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, we gave them a lot of chances there at the end, but I can't remember the exact time. But at one point, we had the ball. We were kind of stalling it out. It was under a minute, and they ended up tying up Abby Green on the perimeter. Jump ball went to them, and on that possession, Macy Mays probably had a look. I was worried she was going to shoot it, and she kicked it out to Alexis Collins, who had hit some big threes for Eldo. Luckily, she missed it. We were able to get the rebound, or the ball went out of bounds. We got the ball. But then on that next possession, they called an offensive foul on our point guard, screening on a press breaker. So then we lost her. They got the ball back again with, I think, 15 seconds to go, maybe. We're able to defend them again. It was just a frantic pace. We turned it over. And then finally, with whatever it was, 2 or 3 seconds to go, they drove, and Abby Green took a charge, and then we just had to get the ball in bounds and hold it. And I just wanted that buzzer to go off. I just couldn't wait for the buzzer to go off.
What was the first thing that went through your mind when you heard the buzzer?
Well, I was just so happy for them. We had watched the Class 3 game, the boys game before us, and I had turned to Carrie Green, who's my assistant, and I said, as those boys were celebrating, winning, I said, gosh, I really want our girls to experience that. Like, I didn't want to have to talk to them through, sad tears. Like we had talked all postseason about, we don't want a sad locker room scene. Like, so refuse to lose. I had some former players all throughout the postseason, girls that I had coached, 10 years ago, writing these motivational letters to the girls. And there's that one, Bailey Weaver. She was a former point guard for me. She kind of talked about that. Like, you don't want a sad locker room scene. Like, you have to refuse to lose. And so when those boys were celebrating, that's what I said to Carrie. I was like, gosh, I want our girls to have that level of happiness. So that's all I could see was just their faces jumping. They knocked each other over. They just all fell over at half court. They were so excited.
Who's the first person you heard from that was not at the game?
Oh gosh, I don't even know because when I finally got back to my phone, I had like over 120 text messages, so it would be impossible to narrow it down to one. But I heard from a ton of old coaches that either coached me when I was playing, people I've worked with, former players. I mean, tons of Fairgrove people, family members, just a lot of awesome congratulations messages.
Now, this is the first state championship in any sport there at Fair Grove, and so a lot of equity there. And what was it like when you got back into town?
Oh, well, when we got back into town, our athletic director had told, the community when we were arriving. So we had cars lined up in the parking lot. It was cold even. It was kind of misty snowing by the time we made it back because of course we ate a team meal and then we went to Andy's. They had to get some Andy's on the way home. But so there was tons of community members honking, and we had a police escort, fire engine escort. And then when the girls got off the bus, someone, I don't even know still to this day who did it, they set off a bunch of fireworks. So we have these really cool pictures of the girls staring up at fireworks, holding their big first place trophy.
Well, I've been told by coaches and even some players that after you win a state title, the food tastes so much better. You sleep so much better. What has it been like for you in all circles? Since the state championship, what's it been like?
I mean, it's still, like I said earlier, it's just still a little surreal, like just hard to believe that we did that in so many ways. It just felt like we went out there and just had another game, which I know it wasn't. It was on this huge stage, but we kind of didn't talk about it being this monumental. We just were like, hey, we're going to do our job. We're going to go win another game. And so that's the first thing I told the girls, like when we got back. I said, I feel like I need to be prepping you and being like, hey, we have practice tomorrow, take tomorrow off, but we got practice. And one of the girls said, there's no one else to play, coach. We're done. There's no one else to play. I'm like, I know. It's so odd that season ended. We were just on such a high.
Very good. Well, coach, I greatly appreciate you being generous here with your time. I know it's spring break, you're off, and maybe next week we'll get some of the young ladies in and have them talk about their experiences.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love for you to get to talk to them, and I'm sure I can get them not so nervous to talk on camera.
Hey, they got a state championship.
That's right. Yeah, they can't say anything wrong, right?
Yeah, you bet. Coach Jenny Talbert, Fairgrove Lady Eagles, Class 3 state champions, and you're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
Only Pizza Ranch serves buffet your way.
Don't you mean my way, Mr. Voiceover Guy?
Sure, anyone's way, actually. Request your favorite pizza. We'll make it, bake it, and give you the first slice.
I can add peppers to pepperoni, Stampede on stuffed crust, maybe Texan taco on thin. No tomatoes on my half. How can I convince Mom to let us eat here every night?
It's buffet your way at Pizza Ranch. Say it with me, kid.
Hey, welcome back to Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Here on High School Game Day, we welcome in 27-5, the Lutheran St. Charles Cougars girls basketball team and the Class 5 state champions, and head coach Aaron Lutschwager. And Coach, hey, thanks so much for your time and getting this set up.
Absolutely. We appreciate you having us.
First, let's kind of put a bow on the season. You guys start out at Orchard Park or Orchard Farm Jamboree. You go 27-5. Kind of put a bow on the season.
Yeah, obviously a terrific season for our kids and our program. We challenged them from the very beginning. We started with a tough schedule. Starting at Westminster. A tough road game, and then going right into our tournament. I mean, right from the get-go, we threw them right into it and challenged them, because we knew that was going to prepare us in the long run. They met every challenge, we gave them, and it was their goal from day one to make it to the Final Four. And so no matter, what we went through or no matter what situation we put them in, that's what they stay focused on. That they stuck together on that. They knew it was going to take everybody. And they just kept fighting every single day to get to that goal. And then once they were there, it was just about bringing it home. And it wasn't easy, but they made the plays, at the end of the day to bring home the championship.
Coming off of a 21-6 season a year ago, talk about those players that you lost due to graduation and who's kind of stepped up and had to fill those spots.
Yeah, we lost some great leaders, from last year's team. Our starting point guard, which always makes a difference. And we still had, some young kids, last year as well. We had 2 freshmen, last year as well. And so, our seniors really stepped up this year. Megan, being one of those kids, really stepped up in that leadership role. Because, she knew what we were capable of and she knew what the expectations were. And so she led the way in that, Allie, coming in and taking that leadership from the point guard spot. Again, a new role for her, but she stepped up, and did a great job leading us from that position as well. And so, yeah, it was just about, again, what their goal was. And, they weren't going to let anything get in the way of that.
Was there maybe a point during the season where you felt like, hey, we've got a real opportunity here? And I go back, you guys were at Helias Catholic in January and get a tremendous win against a very good Helias Catholic team. Was that, and on the road, was that maybe a point of the season where you said, hey, we've got a real chance to make a deep run here? Or was it maybe some other game?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of moments. Honestly, I think the first moment for us, or for me personally, was when we went down to Mizzou and played Hickman. That was, playing a ranked Class 6 school, in a different environment, in a big environment, playing at Mizzou Arena. We were still actually without Jordan at that point. She was still out that first part of the season. And that was a big win for our group, to go in there in that big of a moment and stage and playing, Hickman was undefeated at that point, and we just played a tremendous game, just all around. And I think, from there, our kids could really see, what we were capable of and the things we were able to accomplish, and then, going on later, being able to get Jordan back and starting to put her, back into the rotation and getting her back comfortable. And then we go, and beat, a great Helias team on the road. And so that just continued to build as the season went on.
Coach, you've got 3 young ladies there alongside you. Introduce who's going to go first. Tell me a little bit about her.
All right, we'll start with our senior. So Megan Albert is our senior post. She's been a 4-year varsity player. Just a tremendous player. She's got over 1,000 points and 900 rebounds in her career. She's going to continue on and play Division I basketball at Tennessee Tech. And so she has just been a tremendous player in person, in our program, for the whole time that she's been here.
Megan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell us a little bit about your experience here in the Final Four in Springfield, Missouri. What are some moments that, and obviously winning the state championship, but what are some other moments that are going to stand out to you that you're not going to forget?
Probably all of us hanging out in the hotel lobby after the game. There was another team staying, and we had our speakers going, and I kind of feel bad for the other people that were in the hotel, but it was really fun. And just like the team shoot-arounds and film and the basketball stuff, but also the just hanging out with my friends, and those are stuff I'll remember forever.
What's this week been like going back home with the state championship medal around your neck?
It's been kind of boring.
They want to practice. That's what they
Yeah,
do.
I'm not used to not having anything after school, but it's been great. All the support from our teachers and other students and the community here congratulating us, and yeah, it's been a change just because you go from practicing 2 hours a day, 6 days a week to just going home, which is weird, but no, I mean it has to end at some point, so it's good to go out with the state championship.
Well, Megan, if the 2023 Megan could go back to that Megan in 2019, that freshman, and give yourself some advice, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give a freshman Megan?
Probably just to be more confident in myself, just as a person and abilities. Freshman year was kind of hard for me. It was a really senior-laden team, so I was kind of just the new kid on the block. But yeah, just more confidence and just trust in the process, and that the next few years would be great.
How has your role changed on the team from that freshman year to now your senior year? Obviously, leadership maybe, but are you in the same position? Tell us a little bit about the changes that have taken place.
Yeah, so freshman year I played a decent amount, but it was behind a senior forward. So, but then sophomore through senior year, it's been my role to be that starting forward presence in the paint, and then just an emphasis on rebounding and defense mainly as a post, because we have guards that can shoot great. So my main role these past few years, especially this year, is mainly rebounding, and if the other team has a good post, doing good defense on them to keep them out of the paint.
Outside of the members on your team or the coaching staff, who was the first person that you talked to after you won the state title?
Probably my family. All my family came down, my cousin, my uncle, and my grandpa. So yeah, and my parents and my brother. So
All right.
yeah.
Very good. Well, Megan, on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network, hey, congratulations on being the 5A Class 5 state champion.
Thank you.
And Coach Lutschwager, who do we have next?
All right, we'll go to our junior next. Our junior point guard, Allie Oranger. Allie stepped in to that point guard, that starting point guard role this year. And did a tremendous job. She's a pretty quiet kid by nature, but she can get a little feisty sometimes, and we really enjoy that when she's out on the court, because then she gets after it. A tremendous three-point shooter. She made over 50 threes this year. One game she made 5 in a row, in a tournament game. And so the kid can light it up. So just a tremendous player and been a tremendous leader for us this year.
Allie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Springfield here over the past weekend.
It was just super surreal to be there. Like, it was our goal from the very first day of practice to get to the Final Four, but being there was just like super awesome and crazy to me. But it was awesome just being with all my teammates for one last weekend, for one last ride. So
On your way to it, coming out of that Class 5 District 4 tournament, you had North Point, St. Dominic, Fort Zumwalt, South. Tell us about those games and the challenges there. And a lot of time that Whitfield game, that quarterfinal game typically is the hardest one to win because that's the one that puts you in the Final Four. Take us through that from your standpoint. What were those challenges like? Were there nerves? And what's going through your mind?
well, every time one team gets to the district tournament, like, you always have a fear of losing and not being able to play another game. So I definitely think there were nerves going into each game, not wanting to play your last. But I feel like we really came together as a team to accomplish our goals and win the district title and keep moving forward. So
More nervous before those games or right now?
I'm not a huge fan of public speaking, so maybe a little bit of both.
All right. What are you doing between now and next basketball season? Do you play any other sports?
Well, I play softball, but this was actually my first year playing softball for the high school, but I'm playing for a club team, a crossover elite based out of Hannibal. So I'll continue to get better every day for basketball next season.
Well, Allie, on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations on being a Class 5 state champion.
Thank you.
Coach Lutschwager, now who do we have next?
Next is our sophomore, Jordan Spicer. Jordan was our leading scorer this year. She actually scored her 1,000th point this year in the quarterfinal game. As a sophomore, she broke the record for most three-pointers made for a career. As a sophomore, she did it in 40 games actually. And so she's been a tremendous player, for us. Guards multiple positions because of her size. And so she has a lot of responsibility on the defensive end as well. Came back from an injury, earlier in the season, and I think that really just fired her up even more because she really wanted to be out there, with her teammates.
Jordan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. Tell us a little bit about, having played, at the high school level, collegiate level. Injuries are a part of the game. And I always found, looking back, I learned a lot about myself during that time. And I learned a lot about the game because I had to watch it from a different angle. When you were recovering, from your injuries, did you learn a lot about yourself and about the game?
Yeah, I learned to be a lot more patient because it was a long time. It was 3 months. And then about the game, I just learned how to see it different. And what I didn't see on the court, I was like able to see watching practices and all the games. And it just brought like a new perspective to the game for me.
And probably some appreciation for coaches and parents, because as a player, you've got the ultimate control, over the game situation. Coaches have a lot of control. Parents have no control, but you had to sit there and realize I don't have a lot of control. Coach doesn't have a lot of control. Did that give you appreciation for what the fans and the coaching staff were going through?
Yeah, it did. It made me like learn not to take it for granted and just like you said, appreciate it a lot more.
Now Jordan, is talk about your weekend. You get West Plains in the semifinal game, a West Plains team that was 24-7, defending Class 5 state champion, and then a Carl Junction team who came in, I believe, with just the one loss to an Oklahoma team. Talk about your weekend and the challenges and the preparation of getting ready to play those two teams.
It was like my teammates said, it was a lot of fun at the hotel and practices and everything. The preparation, I mean, it's always fun. And yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of fun. It was definitely, like Ali said, surreal. And it was amazing that we had made it to the Final Four. And yeah, it was definitely worth everything and all the hours that we had put in.
What were your kind of impressions of the atmosphere? Because I've been in both places. I've been at Columbia at the Final Fours. I've been here in Springfield, but it seems like the atmosphere at Great Southern Bank Arena really doesn't have another match. I've not been in an atmosphere. Now you are playing in both games. You're playing relatively local schools, so they bring a lot of crowd. So tell us a little bit about what you thought about the atmosphere.
I thought the atmosphere was amazing. I feel like our fan base definitely brought all of our fans, and so did all both the teams that we had played. But I feel like it got loud for how big it was. Our fans definitely got loud for a lot of the games, and yeah, it was really fun to play in.
Jordan, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on being a Class 5 state champion.
Thank you.
And this is kind of a question for all of you. Outside of the games and being at Great Southern Bank Arena and Hammond Student Center, What was somewhere else that you really enjoyed? What was something else you really enjoyed about Springfield? Did you find a favorite place to eat? Did you go to Bass Pro? What was it like? Or maybe probably just practice.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of free time, to do a lot of sightseeing. Yeah, because we had shoot arounds every day, and we had film, and things like that. We tried to give them a little downtime, to hang out and relax at the hotel. But we told them from the beginning, we were there on a mission. We were there for one reason, and so, we spent a lot of our time, preparing for those moments. So we did go out to dinner, which was fun, and as a team, and our games were so late. So, we had two 8 o'clock games, so it was dinner in the hotel lobby, after that with whatever we could find. But those are the moments that they're going to remember. Just those fun, goofy, little moments of just hanging out, and dancing on the bus and doing those things. And so that's always a joy for me to see as well, just to watch them having fun and just embracing the moment, and not taking it for granted and just enjoying it.
Very good. Well, Coach Letschwager, thanks so much for helping set this up. And I know right now with that, that the state championship, the sleep is a little bit better. The food all tastes better. Everything, the walking in the halls even is a lot more fun. But congratulations on the Class 5 state championship. And we look forward to catching up with you guys as you begin next year.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
You bet. You're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. And find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Chevrolet.
Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. As always, coming to you from the Pizza Ranch studio. Pizza Ranch with 7 locations across the state of Missouri. Also presented by Great Southern Bank, Doak Propane, Burgess and Associates, Central Bank of the Ozarks, and the Bank of Billings. In our Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks segment here, we go back to St. Louis and Incarnate Word head basketball coach Dan Rolfus. And Coach Rolfus, not unfamiliar to these airwaves, but Coach, thanks so much for your time today.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Kind of putting a bow on the basketball season for this year. Finished up last weekend, and Incarnate Word wins their 6th consecutive state title of the ones that have been played. Obviously, we had the COVID year where would have loved to have seen you and an undefeated Carl Junction team meet up that season.
So what did we?
Yeah. But an outstanding season this year, undefeated again, 100 consecutive wins. Kind of put a bow on the season, on this season, the 23 season.
Yeah, no, it was, pretty special group of seniors, and just a kind of a fantastic way of finishing their career. Our seniors, Natalie, Brooke Coffey, and Olivia Hahn, and we had those 3 had been on varsity since day one, and they've contributed since the minute they stepped on campus here. Another senior, Gemma Oldani, didn't contribute as much, but she's been a 4-year program kid. So just really, really happy that we got that state championship, and obviously winning 100 wins in a row kind of shows you the level of players that these girls are at, and just a great way to end their career.
Was that something maybe put a little added pressure on the team coming in, knowing if you got to the state title and you won the state title, it'd be 100 in a row?
You know what? Honestly, I didn't even know we had this streak until some media people brought it up, and they kind of brought it up at the beginning of, or at the end of last year. And then, obviously through this year, we played a pretty hard schedule. We traveled, quite a, and played quite a number of teams from outside of the Missouri area. And then it got closer. And then I think people wanted to tell us, but they didn't want to tell us, like, wait a minute, this could be 100 on the state championship. And so it was, but I do have to give the girls credit. As much as people made that out to be the 100, the streak and all that, I never really felt like it affected our team and our players.
Almost like the pitcher that's got a no hitter going and nobody.
Right, exactly. And that's what I would tell people. Hey, exactly. Hey, it's in the 7th inning. You got a no hitter, and like, yeah, we know we haven't lost, so it's okay. That's exactly right. But it was. I mean, it's just kind of like a storybook ending. Kind of like last night's world. Games with baseball with Otani playing. And that whole scenario. But it's just very surreal. And like the last team that we lost to was Rockbridge, and that's who we're playing in the state finals, and that would be 100. And just a lot of things went our way, and glad we got it.
Coach, this being part of our Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks Athlete of the Week segment presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol, you've got a young lady sitting next to you that may be among the most decorated, or is among the most decorated high school basketball players, boys or girls, in the history of the state of Missouri. Tell us a little bit about Natalie Potts and what makes her special.
Yeah, I mean, Natalie is just a coach's dream. Just beyond all of the the accolades, is she comes to practice every day and works her tail off. Every drill, there's never a time where I had to say, hey, Nat, you got to pick it up. Never. And that's, to me, one of the most important things as a coach. One of the most important things, really, for our program. But then you add, her grit and hustle with, being 6'2", being athletic, being able to run the floor, and then add each year she's developed her skill level, from each year on. She shot from the perimeter well, and then this year she hit the most threes of her career. So it's just just like I said, a coach's dream.
Natalie, how are you today?
I'm good.
Tell us a little bit about your senior season. Talk about what it meant to get the state championship this year, and kind of put a bow on it from your perspective as a player.
Yeah, so like you said, it was kind of just like a perfect ending. Wouldn't want to go out any other way. It's just kind of crazy to think about that we played Rockbridge 100 games ago. So, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better year to play with a better group. This was probably my favorite group to play with by far. We all just worked really hard. And just all the traveling we did, playing a bunch of really competitive teams, especially Sacred Heart. That was a big win for us. So we just played really well this year.
Natalie, as you go back to your freshman year and being a part of the program for the 4 years, how has your role changed from that first day you stepped on the floor as a 14-year-old freshman until now? What different roles have you had to take on?
I've definitely had to step up as a leader. And then, I mean, I would score a little bit more each year. But I mean, overall, I just feel like kind of each aspect of the game, I've kind of helped the team a little bit each year. So,
Natalie, if the 2023 Natalie Potts on March the 22nd, second day of spring, could go back to 2019, Natalie Potts as a freshman, and give yourself some advice based on what you know now, what advice would you give that freshman Natalie? What would you tell her?
oh Lord, probably just keep playing hard. Like things get thrown your way that aren't expected, so you just gotta play through them. and just play the game like you normally would.
It goes by pretty quick, doesn't it?
Oh, they went by really fast. I didn't believe it when people would tell me it would, but it did.
Natalie, going back over your career, are there games? I mean, obviously you've played in a lot of tournament championships, state championships. Are there games that really stand out in your mind that you'd like to go back and play again? Maybe you had so much fun. Maybe it was a state championship, or maybe it's a game that maybe the first time you played Rockbridge, a game that got away from you. Are there games that you look back and say, man, I'd like to do that again?
Yeah, I liked the Westminster game and the Viz Championship my sophomore year. That was just kind of a fun game, and it was close. I like a close game here and there, but not all the time.
Yeah, Coach likes them too, I'm assuming. But
I'd say so. He likes to prepare for the harder teams, and I do too. I feel like all of our players step up in harder games. So
now, being a senior, what decisions have you made as far as next year? What are you going to be doing?
so I committed to play at the University of Nebraska. So I'll be leaving in June for that, which I'm really looking forward to. I've loved the coaching staff, and just everything about the school is just what I've wanted. So I'm excited to get there.
You know, as you look at that decision, what went into that decision? Was it academics? Was it in Nebraska? You know, my family's huge Nebraska fan. It seems like the fans of Nebraska support them so well. And obviously, they're the only professional team in the state, but I mean, they don't have a professional team in the state. But talk a little bit about that decision and you know, who did you lean on? Did you lean on your coaching staff, your parents, family, when you made that decision?
Yeah. So my final two was Nebraska and Gonzaga. And it's always in the front of my mind, like, where am I going to go? Because it was probably one of the hardest decisions of my life. And then one day it just hit me, like, how far do I want to go? And obviously I didn't want to go 32 hours from home, so I decided to pick Nebraska. And there's not one thing that I hate about it. I like the campus, the coaches, academics, and just the fan base, like you said. Just the amount of people they bring in for all of their sports games is crazy.
One of my dear friends is actually the radio guy, play-by-play guy for Nebraska women's basketball, Matt Coatney. Great guy. I really enjoy visiting with him. He also does some stuff during football there, like the pre and post game stuff. But a really good guy, a great university. Have you decided maybe on any particular area of study?
I think some sports management as of right now. So.
Is there background? Do you have family in that, or is that just something that interests you?
It's just something that interests me. I want to stick with sports, and I didn't really want the medical side of it, so I'll probably do something along the business side or maybe even coaching. So.
Outstanding. So what are you doing between now and then?
Resting, training, finishing school. So enjoying my time here while I can.
Well, Natalie, once again, on behalf of the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations for being named the Chevrolet Dealers of the Ozarks Athlete of the Week presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol.
Thank you.
And I am a mandated reporter. So do you wear your seatbelt?
Yes.
All the time?
All the time.
Very good. Very good. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. Coach Rolfus, Jan, I really appreciate you've always been generous with your time. You've had a tremendous season. What do you do now? You mentioned watching the WBC. Are you a fan of other sports? You get to kind of step
away. I love baseball. Yeah, and I love baseball. I mean, I love every sport. So, you know, I keep busy. I'm the athletic director here at Incarnate Word, so that keeps me busy as well. And I'm getting the opportunity to do some coaching with USA Basketball here in spring and summer, so that should be fun as well.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, congratulations on 100 in a row. And who's going to be 101? Do you have your major schedule?
Yeah, not a lot of people are wanting to play us early, so we'll have to figure that out. That's a whole nother segment. So.
Yeah. Very good. Well, again, Coach, congratulations. Natalie, thank you so much for your time. It's been an honor to get to visit with you and and an honor to follow you along throughout your high school career. And I'm really looking forward now that you're going to Nebraska. I'll be able to listen to you because I listen to Matt all the time. But we've had him on the Missouri Sports Network. He actually is a Springfield guy, Springfield, Missouri guy, and he was actually the second broadcaster for the Missouri State Lady Bears before he moved on to out to Nebraska. So make sure when you tell him, when you see him, tell him I said hello, and we'll look forward to listening to you and listening about your season next year.
I will. Thank you.
Coach Rothfuss, thank you so much, and
bring us on.
Congratulations. You're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where, as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. Have a great day.
What rhymes with great?
Participate.
Where does greatness start? Here, in the classroom. On the stage.
In the pool.
On the field.
Where will your greatness take you?
To better grades.
To more friends.
Yeah! Be great.
Participate!
Hey, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. As always, coming to you from the Pizza Ranch studio. Pizza Ranch with 7 locations across the state of Missouri and hundreds across the country. And we appreciate them being our title sponsor of the interviews. Also presented by Great Southern Bank. Great Southern Bank with more than 100 locations across 6 states. Great Southern Bank that cares much about your money as you do. Great Southern Bank, member FDIC. Also presented by Burgess & Associates, Chevy dealers of the Ozarks. And we go north once again and welcome back in to the studio Staley Falcons head coach and Class 6 state champions, head coach Chris Neff. Coach Neff, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Coach, you got to tell us about this run. We visited throughout the season. You're 30-2. You got a senior class that's won over 100 games in their career. Talk about this season and what it meant to you and the Falcons.
Well, it meant everything, and it was a culmination of 4 really strong years from a group of kids that have been really integral in our program and really building the culture. They came in after my 3rd year here, and obviously they were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at our middle school, so we knew of them and we knew what the potential was, and we were excited. And they blended in with a group of seniors that we had that were our 4th year of existence. So this group of seniors, their freshman year was our 4th year. So that was the group of kids that we pretty much groomed for 4 years, being a part of the Staley Falcon basketball program as we owned it. And it was a perfect storm. That good, talented freshman group, along with kids that had been in our program now 4 years, we made the Final Four in 2020. And, just having won this year is really just a culmination of 4 really incredible years with some really fun kids.
Coach, talk about that group of seniors, in particular. And I got to sit alongside them and watch them, at the Tournament of Champions, and also get to, view at the Final Four. But just a tremendous group of athletes.
Yeah, they possess a lot of the qualities that you love to see in any team you cheer for, because they run fast, they jump high, they're skilled, and they're just really good at the sport that they play. But at the same time, Larry Parker is our student body president. Kyan Evans is one of the leaders in our diversity council and has headed a bunch of pep assemblies and rallies that we've had. Caden Fish is a member of our student leadership team, and he's done the same, where during the football season and in the fall season, he grabs the mic and runs our student body parades and all of our pep assemblies and such. It's really an amazing group of kids when you think about all that they do outside of basketball for our high school. So yeah, them being athletic and good at hoops is fun for me, but they're really special in a lot of regards.
You finished the season 30-2. Take us back, obviously coming into this season, having gone to the Final Four a year ago, knowing what you come back, the expectations were there. Was there a point during the season where you really felt like, hey, we've got an opportunity to win this? And maybe it's coming out of the Tournament of Champions. You get that experience of playing on that floor that you're going to play on, in the state championship game. At what point during the season did you kind of feel like it kind of switched and you had a shot?
We've thought about having a shot to win it since March of 2020. We've just had really good teams that have been considered good by rankings in the state. And, we travel pretty well and get around to see quite a few teams during the summer months and into the season where we know what's out there and we know what we possess and we know how prepared we're going to try to be. So been thinking about it for quite a few years. I think the Tournament of Champions and some of the trips we took in January with regard to the Highland Shootout, playing East St. Louis and going to Quincy and playing a couple really formidable opponents there, and having had the overtime game against Vashon and their gym. And I just think it was pretty clear that it was available to us to have a shot. And that's all you can really ask for, is just a chance at it. We were going to be in an incredibly tough district tournament. So, that was something that was always on our mind, to make sure that we were as well prepared for that as we could, and then venture out into Central and Southeast and Southwest Missouri to find our next opponents. So we were just really fortunate to have had a chance at it. So, and we talk about it a lot. We have conversations about state title hopes.
Going back to that district championship with Oak Park, maybe, a game, probably the best game or most challenging game you played down the stretch in order to get, into the quarterfinals. Take us back to that 7-point win over Oak Park.
Well, that's obviously a team that's in our school district. We have 4 high schools in our school district. So, it just lends itself immediately to being a rivalry game, and so much familiarity between the players and coaches and the things that we each do. We had played December 15th, which was many moons prior to that confrontation in the district, and we won by 28, 30 points and shot and played really well. So it wasn't going to be like that. And we knew that going in, and we were prepared for that. But it was an awesome game and an incredible environment. And we were fortunate enough to get it going late and pulled away. But that's a really, really nice team. They lost 2 games all year, and they were to us. I think they'll have every opportunity to believe they're going to be able to do the same thing again next year.
Then you get, coming through the state championship Final Four, you get Jackson in the semifinal, and then a Kickapoo team that you played in the Tournament of Champions. And it's always hard to beat a team twice. You went through it with Oak Park, and now you've got Kickapoo that you've got to beat twice, and you're playing Kickapoo kind of in their hometown. Talk a little bit about the prep going into that contest and what the game was like. You're down 4, I believe, at one point of the game, 25-21, maybe midway through the second or third quarter. But what was that like in that preparation, and then having to kind of turn it on there?
The best thing for us is the conference we play in. The Greater Kansas City Suburban League is a home and home league. You got to play everybody twice. So that's big time. And that lends itself to the best preparation, because, I'd like to think some of the best coaching happens in the biggest class. Those jobs are pretty coveted, and people that go after them generally deserve them and have worked hard to get them. So we're going to be up against some great coaching and probably some of the best athletes that the state has to offer. And if you play them once and you see them 3 weeks later, things are going to change, and you're going to have to go through some adjustments. So that is huge for us. Park Hill was a state ranked team all year. Park Hill South spent time in the state rankings. They're both in our league. Liberty is exactly who they are. They're traditionally a basketball power. And then you bring in the likes of Lee Summit North, who are in our league, that we were having to be ready every night. And that was really good for us to prepare for what was the district championship game against Oak Park, and then that state championship game against Kickapoo, where we had played before, and there was familiarity, and there was an opportunity for Coach McHenry to get his troops ready to go for round 2. And he's as good a coach as there is in the state of Missouri, and probably the entire country. His scouting and his preparation are hands down as good as anything we see. I know watching them play Troy, and Troy runs what is near 1 million sets offensively, and Coach McHenry and his kids sniffed them out and knew every one of them and had a plan for every single option. So that didn't bode well for us and put us back in the drawing board, and spent tons of time in what was less than 24 hours getting ready for them at 2:00 on Saturday. But unbelievable game. Tons of respect for their players. They possess a lot of the things that trouble us. Great shooting, unbelievable execution, a level of toughness that is unlike so many other high school teams. They're just mentally and emotionally and physically tough and well coached. So yeah, the Kickapoo game was the true state championship game. As much as people want to believe that maybe something along the road was, or some other opponent, posed the same threat that Kickapoo did. I say no. Kickapoo was clearly the runner-up in the state.
Coach, you win the state championship. Who's the first person you heard from that was not at the game?
Well, I'd have to go scroll through quite a few texts. There's so many people. Jay Blossom is a guy that I coached with for 5 years at Webster Groves, and who I own a camp with in Snow Valley Basketball School for the last 18 so years. But that's probably my best friend in coaching that I don't work with directly at the high school here. And yeah, he was pretty happy for me. I've been knocking at the door for quite a while, and he's always won them. And this year we kind of switched roles where he took second and I took first. So it felt really good to have his, just his praise.
You get back there to Staley. What's the atmosphere been like? I understand you're probably on spring break right now, so maybe the student body isn't around, but just in town, what are the emotions like?
Oh, it's been really good. Quite a few people, high fives and hugs. Anytime I see the kids on the team, they refer to each other as champ now. Hey, champ, how you doing, champ? This, that, and the other champ. So everything's champ. And I've been really fortunate. I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time with my family. My daughter that's in college was home for the tournament and able to spend some time with us. And my junior son and I were awful close, and he's a part of the team, and we've been spending quite a bit of time here together now that we've had some days off. And then, like I say, my wife and I have a little 6-year-old too that has kept our family so close, and it's just been really fun to be on spring break. As an activities director, I've been to soccer games, baseball games, track practices. I saw our baseball team off to Arizona on a big charter bus the other day. So it's been really fun to just be around people that are happy for us and congratulatory time together. And just, it's been wonderful.
As you kind of decompress from this and look forward to next year, obviously you're losing a tremendous senior class. What's the scheduling going to be like? Have you even looked at that yet? I know we're just 3 or 4 days out of a state title, but what are you working on right now for next year?
Right now, we're making sure all of our guys are on teams. So the spring, summer months, and all the club sports or club season that they play with regard to AAU basketball, that's kind of been a level of focus, just to make sure they're all a part of something if they want to be a part of something. And that, my coaches and I are doing quite a bit to schedule the month of June and into July, so that we're ready to go with building their bodies and making sure that we have some competition ahead of us. And like you said, the 23-24 basketball schedule for the months November to March, we're working on that as well. Quite a few neat things that are going to go on for us because of what we've been able to do over the past few years, that just opportunities that are afforded by having good players. I love my next team. Like I'm so excited to coach them. They've been practicing against state champions for, quite a few months now, and they have their days. Like they have some really successful days. So it bodes well for us. Truly excited about two kids that played big minutes for us this year, and Xavier Wilson, who's a sophomore, and KV Stone, who's a junior, that add them to my son and Tavian Tate, who played a pretty large role in our junior varsity squad and into our varsity games when needed. And then a host of young kids that are up and coming. So really, really excited about our future. And we talk a lot with the senior class. They tend to pick on those kids about what are we going to do when they leave? Well, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing.
Very good. Well, Coach, I know the food's got to taste a little bit better. You got to get a little bit better sleep. I mean, it's and this isn't going to wear off for a few months, I'm sure.
No, it's exciting times and still lots to do. You know, there's school ceremonies that are coming up when the kids get back to school from the break, and then we got to pick out a ring and we got to get some T-shirts and got lots of things to organize and spend time together with the banquet and such. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to make it last as long as I can.
You bet. Well, Coach, I greatly, as always, you've been very gracious with your time here in the last couple of years since we started the Missouri Sports Network, and I really greatly appreciate you on a spring break coming into the office and getting on the Missouri Sports Network.
Well, we appreciate you guys and how you grow and promote our game. So thanks so much.
You bet. Class 6 state champion, head coach of the Staley Falcons, Chris Neff. And you're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where, as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.